SCOWL BABY. Just came in right at the last minute. That's why I jumped up. I had to get my jab in to that fool.
How are you?
Jab, wonderful.
Good.
Hey.
How are your parents?
Wonderful.
Really?
Wonderful.
Good.
Yeah, they just got back from South America, actually.
Oh, God, I'm going to retire.
Yeah, no.
That's what you need.
Yeah.